yeah, it's really hard to separate, but I am trying to and want to. Like, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I don't.
Neither
I
do
don't support
I.
what he does. I don't want to go down in history as someone who, promoted or agreed with or at some point. But by default, does that make me an enabler of whatever Trump does? And I think it sets up a perfect scenario for it's going to be a shit show both ways, and the progressives are going to get blamed because we voted or we didn't vote, and we didn't have this or we didn't have that. Like, I could just see it years down the road.
Will get
The radical left, the abstaining
West
votes.
will
So
get blamed.
it's hard. It's everyone's personal decision which way to go and how you can sleep at night, I guess. And we're not telling people to do one way or the other, but I really don't want to support Joe Biden, and I want him to know that.
So let's talk. Apparently they got this whole election thing going on.
It doesn't feel like it's election season. I mean, it feels like our grave has been dug. There's no conversation about progress in either direction. At least from my perspective, I would think, would be the time and season of, well, here's my new idea. Well, I'm a new person in the scene, and I think we should run things this way and that way. And even though they always get beat out, this is the time to have that kind of discussion amongst
primary. A robust primary, as it were.
I guess.
Where both parties put up a whole bunch of candidates that run and try to vie for the nomination of their respective parties. I mean, there was a little bit of that in the Republican Party.
Instead of just wheeling them out and go, here you go, one or the other.
Right. Full-on fascist or fascism light. You either got the full-on fascist or, fascism light.
Mm-hmm.
One's just facilitating genocide, where the other one's like, we should do genocide faster.
Yeah. As if this is fast.
Right. Like, get it over with. Wrap it up. Bodies, people.
Concede, die already.
The best people are
Build the condos already. Come on, we know that's where it's going to end.
Literally, Jared Kushner came out with that and said that. Like, can you imagine the beachfront property? And he's like, no, it wasn't imagine. Like, he was blatantly stating, yeah, that's beachfront. Yeah. Like, we're going to develop the shit out of that.
The waterfront property, yeah. We need to clean. I think you earlier said Israel's doing a good job. They need to be cleaning up the area.
Oh yeah.
Like, because of people, like, genocidally. So we can pop up apartments, yeah.
But how are you going to do that?
Put up a parking lot.
Have you seen Gaza lately? Have you seen parts of the West Bank lately?
There are people with money. There's private equity firms. It's an investment opportunity. You just got to get out those gross people that have been living in this prime real estate.
Because it's not just about...
It's happened over and over.
It's not just about creating space for new settlements and new settlers. It's also about the industry that goes into... leveling what's left of the rubble in Gaza, and then developing it and putting in communities and new community planning and strip malls, and it's going to look like
these same corporations that'll benefit from this are benefiting from these people we got to vote for. The two choices we have,
and here we are. So I mean, we're trying to talk about an election, and it's just Gaza, right? I mean that's
real estate development and building capital. Right?
But let's try and focus a little more on this election. So, like, the options are going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, and a lot of people are really. I would like to hear if you guys have thoughts on, genocide Joe versus faster genocide Trump. Like,
it's blow him up, Joe.
Okay. I'm an anarchist. And I don't have a problem with voting. I'm not a person who thinks that if you vote, you're somehow defeating anarchism. This thing that there's 10 or 12 of us in the entire frickin' world, and we're worried about ruining. I also don't like to tell other people what to do and how to do it very much. I try to avoid that kind of thing, even though, I still have very strong opinions. But my point being, I'm not trying to tell you you should vote, you shouldn't vote, and I'm definitely not trying to tell people who to vote for, okay? But I won't condemn people who do participate in that. And there's always the dynamic of, do you live in a swing state or not? How important is your vote? Like, California, our coastal cities are pretty solidly blue. You could vote for my fart, and chances are Biden's still going to win that district, right? But that's a sham. How do you feel about, a lot of people are saying they're not going to vote for Joe.
So,
do you think that this is really? Do you think that the protest abstaining in protest to vote for Joe? Are you in the camp that facilitates a presidency for Donald Trump? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I mean, in the big picture, no, because who created this nightmare is the people running, or the people they're having run, people running the show, the DNC and the RNC, the corporations, right?
The capitalist ruling class,
right? But in this time in our history, can we afford to have a Trump? I don't think we can. So that's scary.
Project 2025 is terrifying. Okay? It's terrifying.
Yeah. He's a maniac.
Trump, he had no idea what he was doing the first time around, but he's taken notes.
Now that he does.
He's got a whole team of people who are ready to do some shit. If you're not filming, I'm not going to get into the details of it here because it's a whole nother fucking video in and of itself.
Right, and
just
see,
Google
that's
Project 2025. Google Project 2025.
That's the difference. Is you're dealing with a neoliberal who's always been a war. Didn't he say he was a proud war hawk at one? Was that him?
He's always been the right wings. Well, maybe I'm not personally familiar. That wouldn't surprise me if he did say that. But he was supportive of Iraq, the war in Iraq, and he's always been the Republican Party's best friend. A lot of people did that,
though. So the majority.
But he has also always been known as the Republicans' best friend in Congress. Like, it's why Obama chose him as his vice president, to help placate the right wing and neocons and stuff who he was really good friends with. And of course, he's also been a long-time, genuine, outspoken lover of Zionism. He's a Zionist all day, like through and through.
This goes way back. So Netanyahu hates him, but
go ahead, Kylie.
Yeah, it's really hard to separate, but I am trying to and want to. Like, I don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I don't.
Neither
I don't support what he does. I don't want to go down in history as someone who, promoted or agreed with or at some point. But by default, does that make me an enabler of whatever Trump does? And I think it sets up a perfect scenario for, it's going to be a shit show both ways, and the progressives are going to get blamed because we voted or we didn't vote, and we didn't have this or we didn't have that. Like, I could just see it years down the road. The radical left, the abstaining votes. So it's hard. It's everyone's personal decision which way to go and how you can sleep at night, I guess. And we're not telling people to do one way or the other, but I really don't want to support Joe Biden, and I want him to know that. And so, but policy, in my view, policies and what's being physically done in the world with Joe Biden and president now, or with what Trump is going to do in the future, they're both on the wrong side of the line. Yes, more people will die, more countries will be conquered, more governments will fall, more, democracy will more and more and more with the further right. But it's not a clear choice between good and evil, or a clear choice between no war and war. Like, they're already at war. They're already killing people. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm fairly young compared to, history of the world. And I'm still surprised. I heard like a interview from the 90s where someone was like, "Oh, I hate that Clinton is like the worst of two evils. Like, I have to vote for Clinton." Like, this has been going on in politics.
Right.
It's always the lesser of two evils. And we have to, succumb to that ideology, or just like that.
Yeah.
It's not just a unique situation in politics.
Absolutely.
Now.
And so look, Washington and Adams and other signers of the Constitution railed hard against the formation of political parties. I wrote a long essay about it, long quotes from numerous signers of the Constitution warning against the inception of political parties. Okay? The capitalist ruling class said, "No, fuck that. We need capitalists to manipulate." So this is not new. The lesser of two evils is not a new concept. But I'm not a Trot, okay, but Trotsky wrote a great piece about sort of the role, it's Fascism and How to End It, about how the role that liberalism plays in facilitating fascism historically. Now, historically, liberalism really didn't get called. You were a social democrat. More often than not, when you're what we sort of see as liberalism today, traditionally, social democrat. Okay, some of them are actually socialists, so we'll call it, democratic socialism. But whatever, it's liberalism. It's but this is it. Fascism, what it is and how to end it, by Leon Trotsky. He really talks about the role that that liberals or social democrats play in facilitating fascism's ability to take root. Okay, and we talked about it earlier in the show about how liberals ultimately aren't railing; they aren't calling for the end of capitalism. They allow for capitalism to exist, but then want those who benefit most from capitalism, the capitalist ruling class, to give concessions and make compromises to help those who are most exploited by capitalism. The workers, their labor is the ones that facilitate the wealth that defines the capitalist ruling class, right? But ultimately, Trot isn't saying that the liberals and the fascists are the same. He definitely asserts that the fascists are worse. Okay, and I was also reading recently, and finally was getting around to reading this work, which is so important in understanding fascism. It's Fascism and Social Revolution by Arpon Dutt, and he talks again about how it was the liberals or the social democrats who, when capitalism was most in crisis, who the capitalist ruling class allowed a lot of the social programs that they were calling for to be enacted, to get, sort of like, think of in terms of like FDR's New Deal, create all these great programs that really facilitate and elevate a lot of people out of life. Now, what they do is they do that and they go, okay, we did it. And then secretly, in the beginning, now it's open, but just begin chiseling away at all those new concessions and those new programs that were created by liberals to help the workers who are being exploited, their labor being exploited, to facilitate the lifestyle of the ruling class, right? And now what we're seeing is they've pretty much essentially done away with all of the New Deal stuff. It's pretty much all gone. And
except for Social Security and food stamps.
Yeah, and holy shit, especially Social Security, man, that's huge, and they want it bad, But so this is not something that I'm making up as a modern day woke anarchist guy. That, hey, you liberals make fascism, and I'm also not saying that. I'm not saying you liberals make fascism. What I'm ultimately trying to get at, with all this said, and when you understand that the capitalist ruling class does know that, hey, man, let's let these liberals have some of this stuff because it'll placate the masses long enough for them to be distracted, and then we'll just get rid of it. We'll just get rid of all the stuff we did. But all the time, we will have maintained our capitalist ruling class, our status as the capitalist ruling class. Mm-hmm. But the role of the fascist versus the liberal is that fascist is going to be brutal as fuck in maintenance of the capitalist. Both are going to be singularly focused on the maintenance of the capitalist ruling class status quo. Okay? Just fascism is going to black bag you off the street like they did to people in Portland when Trump was president last time. It's going to be an overt, targeted fucking hatred and constant propaganda demonizing any. If you try to do anything to help anybody, you're going to be the woke liberal snowflake who's truly Mao, who's trying to starve everyone and do the communisms to everybody for ISIS and Satan. Okay, that's the way you'll be treated. Whereas I think that's worse than the liberal who's like, oh yeah, sure, oh yeah, you're hungry. Oh, we're gonna do stuff.
Yeah,
because what you know is they're not going to do shit. And if you know, give me just one section, I definitely want to let you go.
Sorry,
I know I've been talking a while, but I know that the liberals full of shit and isn't actually going to do the thing they promise. But they're not going to come after me as hard like a fascist will. So, yeah, you were going to say, Shan?
Sorry about that. I thought it was a person, but it was probably a scroll or a Robin. Oh my goodness.
So my point ultimately being is I think that Trump is worse than Biden, even though they're both evil and thought.
No, I just had a thought. One time, this was when I was new to social media, which wasn't that long ago. It was like 10 years ago or something. But this friend of a friend kept, she was, stalking me and on my political posts and saying some really nasty negative stuff. Anyway, she followed me to Punks for Progress, and Aaron got a taste of it. But one time she said in a comment, oh, you're a helper. That's a bad thing. Oh, you're a helper. So what you were talking about of the difference, that's the difference. Helping is a bad thing. Well, I got to take care of myself. Well, we all do. No, but I also see the homeless vet with his dog on the corner, and I don't give a fuck if he's a vet or not. He's homeless. It's part of my community. If I can give him a bottle of water, a sandwich, $20, I'm going to do it.
No, and look, it's so true because, and it's an important distinction to make because, the liberal, even though the liberal politician, we know he's full of shit and doesn't actually care about helping.
The liberal does that and posts it on social media. Sorry.
Well, it does matter that the bully pulpit of a liberal president creates an atmosphere where it's okay to believe in helping people. Where if you have a fascist who has the bully pulpit of the president, he's going to tell you, you're fucked in the head and you're weak if you're a helper. That matters. Understand, I'm not trying to praise the liberal president for having a position better than a fascist. Okay? What a low bar. The lowest of low bars. But ultimately, it does matter. It does have an effect on the populace. Not everybody is a well-read fucking anti-capitalist leftist. The vast majority of people aren't. And they are directly influenced by what presidents say. Okay? So I come down on the side of the fascist is worse than the liberal who's tacitly supporting the fascists.
Trump will just help bomb the... Trump will fucking be like, send U.S. troops to help Israel. I already know it. They're already helping, but, it's on the down low. That's why they're there, for aid, to have eyes on shit, right? So, yeah, that's the difference. Trump will just bomb quicker, faster, and Biden will send aid and bombs. Same time.
Trump will leave no airspace in the media discourse to even say it's okay to care about other people.
Exactly.
It'll be like, no, we have to
You're
murder,
weak.
mass, and bomb, and yet, right. And that matters. That has an effect on the populace's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
So I have to say,
please.
I was just going to say, it's been nice to have a break from the border talks. It's been, it hasn't been the flavor of the week for a while, but we have to remember the domestic issues that are going to be coming up once these two people go head to head, and it's going to be the border, it's going to be abortion, taxes, healthcare, back to those talking points again. But yeah, this supposed crisis at the border, I'm glad that it's just stopped, because we stopped talking about it. It hasn't been covered, and it must not be that big of a deal, I guess, because
I imagine that's an excellent point, and that
there's still people on camps in the desert between California and Mexico here.
Well, that brings me to the thing I've been kind of thinking about as we've been talking about this is, Biden is going to start rolling out policies that benefit people domestically in some way, whether it's surface level, whatever. If that's going to start happening, he's going to be.
That's like strategy, political strategy. You mean?
Yeah, of course. To help he's already revamped and recently carted out the new student debt program that he's doing.
Title X for trans people. However, it doesn't include children in sports. Or sports, period. I don't know.
I think it's gonna. I can see him potentially making up the gap for the people who have abstained in their support of him over Gaza. Mm-hmm. See, obviously, I don't know. It's still early. It's what do we have?
I guess
May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We still have 8 months.
Not that early. I can't believe it's not. Well, I can. There's a genocide going on, and that takes precedent over everything, even the border, unfortunately. Right? That doesn't mean I've been paying attention to the border. However, the last couple of weeks I haven't been paying attention to a lot.
And we're just in jury selection for the first criminal trial on Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, they got all the juries for this first one. Monday, the actual fucking opening arguments begin. I think this is gonna have obviously a direct. I have no opinion on how it's going to affect the election. I have been anxious, really more. I mean, I fucking hate Trump, obviously, I'm not motivated by I can't wait to see him get reamed. I'm really fascinated and curious to see how these criminal trials are going to affect the election process. I'm an old political junkie. I'm fascinated by what happens in Washington, even though I want to revamp the whole thing and create a socialist, devoid of capitalist utopia. But it doesn't matter. I'm still super fascinated by the way power works now, and we all should be because it affects us all. But I can't wait. It's here. The moment to the border, the real quick. Trial is here, and we're going to see. We're finally going to get to see how does this affect our political process, because there is no precedence to draw. Go ahead, Chin.
The bar is the lowest I've ever seen it. That doesn't mean these presidents weren't doing shit behind the scenes. We just didn't know about it, Kennedy's. So, right? Anyway, the border, the difference, that's a big thing, Kylie, by the way, because Trump will do exactly what he did. He's gonna, the fucking Muslim ban, he's gonna Biden already, Haitians are banned? Who else? There's 3 people banned from immigrating or seeking asylum here right now. 3 countries. And I remember Haiti.
I'm sure it's Venezuela, Cuba. What else?
Well, Cuba is an always.
Always.
Yeah, I can't.
But yeah, he's had harsh, and yeah, but I just feel like a month or two ago, it was Biden has the harshest border I mean, what was it? The far right of the House didn't pass the most conservative border bill in the history that was conceded to by the Democrats to appease Republic. Like, it was an insane situation that was fortunate in its outcome because of the factions in the Conservative Party, but
because Trump literally came out and said, "Don't pass the thing; it'll be a win for Biden, and I want to get it." And he wasn't even quiet about it. And they just all fell suit, and that is what happened. And that's a thing. Again, you would think Biden would be speaking about that a lot. That, hey, I mean, he mentioned it in the State of the Union, I think, didn't he? Anyway. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like, they put this thing, it had a bunch of gross ass shit in it, this bill that Trump told the Republic. It had all the wish list for border shit that the right has wanted. And our right wing president, Biden, was ready to do some nasty ass shit down there. And Trump said no, because then he'll win over neocons. I think he was worried that he would win over neocon and old traditional, what Trump calls never Trumpers in the Republican Party, right? But he probably would have. So anyway. Basically, I guess we're all in agreement. We're all three solid RFK Jr. voters. That's what we're getting at.
Basically.
Did you see his sister come out and speak publicly against him?
No, I know the family put out a statement, but
I don't know what. Oh, really? What? I don't know if it's a disorder or a disease. What his affliction is, but her voice is just like his. But he's saying that it's caused by some. It seems like maybe it's genetic if his sister has it. But anyway, it's just, I don't know.
But yeah,
it's just some people don't transition from their reptilian state into their human state as fluidly.
No, his sister's all in for Biden, of course.
That doesn't mean she's not a reptilian.
I guess.
And you're totally detached from reality, anti-Semitic conspiracy theory knowledge. It's not up to snuff here. The reptilians, who are obviously Jewish, are also, they're Republicans and Democrats.
Oh, so RFK is self-hating lizard person?
Pretty much.
Okay.
And that's why, I don't know. If Marjorie Taylor Greene can get her bill passed for the space lasers, I think it's going to do wonders to help us understand a lot of this. Because the border.
Oh, cool.